But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has joined us. Since we've only got 45 minutes tonight, let's have a start. So my name is Malika. I'm from Success at School and I'll be your host this evening. But we're really excited for the second year in a row to bring back CBRE. And they're here to discuss all things real estate and all things apprenticeships. We're going to hear from not only the recruitment team at CBRE, but also a couple of apprentices who are going to give their journey, a couple of tips and tricks, and life at CBRE. If you do have any questions at all, please feel free to pop them in the chat, as we will have a live Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And just to let you all know as well, this will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel at Success at School, so you can rewatch this as many times as you like. But enough from me. Let's hand it over to the wonderful team at CBRE. Hannah, over to you.
Now I'm on mute. Thanks so much for that intro. I'm Hannah. I'm the head of recruitment and engagement at CBRE for Next Generation. So that basically means all of our apprentices, graduates, interns and placements. I look after all of that. Also on the call, we've got Taya, Gemma and Michael, who you'll be hearing from a bit later on as well. But I'll jump straight in first of all. So for those of you who might not have heard of CBRE before, just wanted to show you a video first of all, just talking a bit about who we are and what we do at CBRE.
CBRE is the world's largest commercial real estate services and investment firm with over 100,000 employees across more than 100 countries.
Real estate refers to the built environment and all that encompasses it. CBRE have a stake across the whole project lifecycle, from services such as valuation, investment, building surveying, corporate real estate strategy, and so much more. So here at CBRE, we truly believe that there's an opportunity for everyone. We've got apprenticeships, we've got graduate schemes, we've got internships, and also sandwich placement years.
In some of our pathways, yes, you do, but in most of our pathways, you do not. You can be a non-cognate graduate. So you just need to have done your degree, get the right grade, and you don't need any relevant experience.
You can expect to work on a variety of different projects, but I suppose it depends on what team you end up in and how long your scheme is. If you're working like a valuation seat, for example, you could be advising a client and valuing, a shopping centre portfolio or a redevelopment building in the middle of central London, or you could be valuing a care home in Bradford. If you're working in sort of investment, you can be, selling a £500 million building in the middle of Mayfair, or you could be selling a new build development in the middle of Manchester or Birmingham. So the world's the oyster. It could literally be anything.
So that gives you a little bit of an indication, but just to give you a bit more information on CBRE, so we are the world's largest commercial real estate services and investment firm, which is great. It sounds fantastic on our marketing, but what that actually equates to is the fact that we work with the best and the biggest clients and projects all across the world, but obviously we're focusing mainly on the UK. So any of the kind of big buildings that you see around, kind of a lot of the landmark buildings in London, for example, it's very likely that CBRE has played some part in the property life cycle of that building. So we celebrated our 250th anniversary last year. We've got over 100,000 employees, got over 500 offices, so we are absolutely massive. But I think a thing that was really important to me when I started at CBRE was, how am I going to add value to a company of this size and make an impact and be kind of recognised? But the way that it's broken up into different service lines or kind of specialisms means that you get to know everyone really well within your region, your office or your team, so that you still have that kind of really close-knit bond with those people, but also still have that wider collaboration across the different teams and offices, or in some instances kind of countries as well. So just before we go any further, I wanted to just put up this image of our virtual work experience program. So you can scan this QR code, and it's a bit of a kind of step-by-step work experience guide that gives you more information about different sectors within CBRE. So I'll just pause for just 1 second so you can scan that now. But also, when we kind of talk about real estate, sometimes it can be quite hard to comprehend because of its enormity, but it really is all around us. So if you think about your day to day, you might have gone to school, that's a real estate. If you might have been in a job, which would be in a kind of retail or something like that, that's another form of real estate. You might have got the train, that would have had to come from a depot, that's another form of real estate. So we kind of, and they're kind of all examples of the more commercial side of real estate. So more kind of business client side of real estate, rather than more kind of residential elements, which is mainly where CBRE's specialisms lie, maybe in comparison to some of the more high street estate agent brands or real estate brands that you're aware of. We're dealing with kind of much larger scale commercial buildings, or if we are doing residential, we might be doing kind of whole kind of flat developments or kind of housing developments, or kind of affordable housing and student accommodation, those types of things. So the size of the projects that we're working on are absolutely enormous. An easy way to kind of think about it is like playing Monopoly. So you kind of go around the board, you collect different and acquire different properties and businesses, and then you kind of build up your portfolio of properties, which we kind of do, or we do on behalf of our clients. We'll then collect rent on behalf of the clients, or for kind of our properties, and then we'll kind of redistribute that, invest it in other properties, or we might develop. So we might build houses or hotels or different kind of retail or leisure properties on that kind of land. So very, very simplistic way of kind of thinking about it, but makes it a bit more easier to kind of understand that whole kind of working on behalf of the clients, I suppose. And when we talk about the real estate process, this is kind of a very, very kind of holistic viewpoint of the type of elements that we get involved in. But at CBRE, we have kind of touch points in literally every single part. So it might be the land acquisition all the way through to demolition, but also on top of that, you've also got kind of valuing, as Baba mentioned in the video. So we do kind of different valuing on behalf of clients, or maybe banks that want to set up kind of want to look to invest. We also have a very large environmental, social and governance team. So we advise clients on how to be more sustainable, and we actually work as a kind of advisor for ourselves as well. So we look at how we can be more sustainable as a business and how our offices can be more sustainable. But then behind all of this, you then need the things that are going to make the cogs turn as well, which we refer to as business services. So things like HR, which Taya and myself sit in, or you've got marketing teams or finance teams or digital and technology teams. So the scope that we've got is enormous, and we are very, very firm believers that there is an absolute home for everyone within CBRE, depending on where you want to go and where your interest and skill sets lie. Another thing that's super important to us at CBRE is our different networks, or kind of employee resource groups. So it's very easy for a company to have networks and kind of say, oh, we're very inclusive, but this is genuinely something that really underpins the culture that we've got at CBRE, to make sure that everyone can feel like they can bring their true selves to work. So anyone can sign up to any of these networks. It basically is a great way of, as it says it does on the tin, networking with other people who share different values with you, but also it's a good way of kind of learning about different people in the business. They do lots of social events, they do lots of charity events, there's always stuff going on, but also we will come out to our networks and kind of consult with them. And when we're redeveloping our offices or working with our clients, we'll say, what are people wanting in the offices? So we've got things like free period products in all of our bathrooms now. We've got genderless toilets on all of our floors in our London office. We've also got a meditation room, a family room, a contemplation room, a gym on site. So we want to make sure that everyone feels like they are able to bring their true selves to work, but also feel like they're completely happy and completely welcomed and included when they're in our workspaces as well. So we've got different routes into CBRE, and we've got our graduate and placement schemes, as they mentioned on the video. We've also got our internships, but the thing that I wanted to focus on mainly today is our apprenticeship schemes. So our apprentice positions went live in December and they close on the 11th of February. Our apprenticeship schemes are perfect for anyone who's coming from school or college, but also we sometimes have people coming from university as well. They are a 4-year programme, and they basically include kind of lots of hands-on working in a different team, but also you get 1 day off a week to study some kind of accreditation that's associated with your apprenticeship that you choose. So for the real estate programme, you do a real estate degree. For the environmental, social and governance programme, they do a ESG degree. For human resources, you do a human resources qualification, same with marketing and accountancy as well. But it's a fantastic way of kind of learning, having all of your student fees paid for you, but also kind of basically getting that experience that people aren't going to have. So when you then if you come in at 18, when you're 22, you're going to have 4 years experience. You're still going to have a proper degree, if it's the degree route that you go down, but also you're going to be on kind of 4 years in salary as well, which is fantastic. I'm going to share now another video about our apprenticeships at CBRE, so that you can understand a little bit more about the different apprenticeships and how kind of it is being on an apprenticeship scheme.
Imagine being at the start of your career and getting to sit down and talk openly with the boss about just how far you could go. At CBRE, the focus is on making the future work for the next generation. CBRE's apprentice scheme provides a unique opportunity for young talent to launch their career in commercial real estate and to gain exposure to senior leaders across the business.
Once you're on the scheme, that's it. You know, you've got your job, you're studying your uni, you do the 4 years, and then you come out with your APC done, your university degree as well, and you already have so many contacts, so much market knowledge. You know, you're so much further ahead of everybody else who's gone the traditional university path.
I've learned so much more in the 8 months I've been here than the whole year I did at university.
I think it's probably a better time to get into the industry as an apprentice because you're in there earlier and you'd have years of experience on your belt, and it's not a case of apprenticeship or uni because you do both at the same time.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to become an apprentice because it gave me the opportunity to get practical work experience and also support me in my theory while undertaking my university course. I think other people should consider joining the apprenticeship programme if they don't want to go to university full time or feel like they are more suited to working and studying part-time for their university degree.
CBRE is not only the world's biggest commercial real estate services and investment firm, It also runs one of the largest and first of its kind apprenticeship schemes in the property industry. A select group learns the ropes, gets to network and gets paid too. One person benefiting from the scheme is Solace. A love of watching property programmes as a child meant she knew what she wanted to do. But her family had no background in the industry, so she changed this.
I think what I probably bring is just like a different lens of the world. I mean, real estate predominantly has been, or traditionally, sorry, has looked a certain way for a certain period of time, and everyone sort of has similar backgrounds. I think my background has afforded me a different outlook on life, but also when you're looking at real estate, that is multifaceted.
It's a project close to the CEO's heart.
I was a 16-year-old, kind of didn't really know where I was heading, had no idea what industry I would be good at. But one thing I was prepared to do is work harder than anybody else to prove that I was the best person for whatever job. And so what makes a good apprentice is somebody that's willing to work hard, be dedicated to the cause, embrace everything that comes their way.
Well, the apprentices say that they've chosen this path because traditional higher education isn't for them. There is a strongly academic element to what they do here. For 4 days a week, they're working and learning in a professional environment. But on the 5th day, they study for a degree in real estate. And it's this, says CBRE, which gives them a complete grounding.
It's great to have that kind of hands-on, day-to-day learning from the business, but it's also really important to back that with the technical side of things as well. It's quite intense and it takes a lot, but it's just an amazing experience because you get to combine both, and at the end of it, you know, you get to spend a number of years rotating within our business, learning about different teams, but then also getting a degree at the end of it. In addition to our real estate apprenticeship pathway, which is really successful and we've had it for a number of years, why not introduce new ones as well? A new HR pathway, a new finance one, and also an ESG.
Archie's days as a commercial real estate apprentice involve contacting clients, working on deals and getting ahead, doing what he loves.
And if you had any advice for someone thinking about becoming an apprentice in real estate, what would it be?
Do it. Do it without hesitation. It's one of, if not the best decision I've ever made.
Why?
It's me, and I think when you love a job and you love what you do, you're a different kind of happy, and you're happy every day, and being happy at work is really important.
Apprenticeships are being more widely recognised as a brighter path to take, so CBRE is broadening its programmes. It's partnering with the charity Career Ready to help young people facing obstacles in education and employment. And it's also supporting projects to help women build confidence and careers, bringing in new ideas and a new generation who knows no barriers.
Cool. So hopefully you found that useful, and also hearing from someone slightly different than me the whole time as well. And actually now I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to hear from our apprentices on the line, one of who is Gemma, who also starred in that video. Do you want to go around and introduce yourselves and just kind of say who you are, what you're studying, how long you've been at CBRE for? Gemma, do you want to start?
Yeah, hi, I'm Gemma. I'm on my 3rd year of the apprenticeship scheme now. So initially I actually went to university. So I did 1 year studying urban design at Oxford Brookes, and then realised from doing that year that wasn't really the route that I wanted to go down. Started to have a look at degree apprenticeships and had a look at CBRE and ended up applying. And then obviously got accepted. And I've really enjoyed the 2.5, 3 years that I've had so far, been in various different teams, and really enjoyed it so far.
Thanks. Michael?
Hi everyone, my name is Michael. I'm a 2nd year apprentice based in London. So I initially got into university for psychology, but then I decided to defer it, which my family wasn't really a fan of, because they was very unfamiliar with the concepts of apprenticeships. So when I actually explained to them the benefits and all the things that you'd be able to get and achieve by the end of it, they say, oh, the talk of the family now. Before they're saying, everyone's scared of that dreaded question, thinking, oh, so what does your son do? Like, is he at uni? He's taking a gap year? So now I think doing calls like this, including the parents as well as students, is very important to educate the parents as well how much more benefit you can actually get from doing apprenticeships. So when my family realized like you get a free degree, get a salary, a very competitive salary which goes up each year, and you get lots of good work experience, I wouldn't see any other option. So yeah.
Thanks. Taya?
Hi everyone, I'm Taya. I'm a second year apprentice on the HR pathway. I did join straight off the back of being at sixth form. I did originally want to do accounting, and then I had a change of heart after doing maths A levels. And I'm just really kind of grateful for being at CBRE at the moment, because there's very few places that do offer a HR pathway. So it's kind of nice having the option to study towards my qualification, but also kind of get hands-on experience. It's been really enjoyable so far. I've learned a lot in the business, and just continue enjoying it.
And what would you say each of you was like your favourite thing that you've worked on, or kind of your favourite thing about CBRE so far that you've kind of experienced? Taya, I'll throw straight back to you.
Sure. So I think the first thing that I'd probably say is my favourite thing is going to sound pretty cliche. It's probably the people, definitely. I think everyone kind of says it, but to kind of be in the workplace and see it for yourself, like it's such a big, busy building across everywhere. And just something as simple as going for a coffee and just saying hi to someone and just getting to know who they are in the business, like talking to someone that could be from the head of retail as an exec director. I'm someone that's quite junior in the business. They give you time of day, like you can easily have a mentor or somebody, like we have like a reverse mentor program. So you speak with exec directors and senior directors, and they like teach you a lot and stuff like that, which is really good. And just seeing how invested they are, the business are in all the people, whether that be like the next gen cohort, which is the graduates and apprentices and interns, or just anyone in the business. It feels really nice to be a part of that.
Thanks. And Michael?
I would say landing my first deal. So I'm based in residential sales, so lettings and sales properties. So the amount of sort of responsibility you get. So 19-year-old going into the business, your managers trust you to be able to do viewings for a flat, sell stuff to people, and also work with the clients. So landing my first deal at 19 in my first few weeks, definitely, yeah, felt ecstatic. I thought, I just come out of sixth form, what do I know? But when I first landed that first deal, got the invoice through, just chuffed really. So yeah.
Amazing. And Gemma?
Yeah, I would say similar to Michael, just like the responsibility that you're given, like just from the offset. No one kind of treats you as like an apprentice. Obviously, you get the help that you need to be able to understand what you're doing and get on with your work, but no one treats you any differently to anyone else in the company. And yeah, it's really nice to see everyone treats you with respect, and you get so much responsibility just from the word go. And yeah, that really makes a difference, I think.
And how do you find especially now that you're in your third year of apprenticeship, how do you find the studying alongside the workload?
So it can be tricky at some point. So when there's assignments due, there can be like the pinch points when you've actually got to really kind of work hard to get the assignments due, plus then working as well. So that sometimes can be a hard balance. But I would say the majority of the time, when those aren't the pinch points, I would say it's fine to manage, and it's a good way of practicing busy work and understanding workloads, because it can be quite full on, but in a good way. And also you do get the breaks. So in the summer you get quite a nice break of uni, and again around like Easter as well, you get a little break. So it does help, so it's not full on all the time.
And is it still a real degree?
Yes, it's still a real degree from someone that's done a year of another degree, and then this, it's definitely a real degree.
And you still get a graduation at the end as well, right?
Yes, you do. You get an in-person graduation. So yeah, it's all real.
Is there anything, and kind of Michael as well, is there anything that you miss in comparison, like from university in comparison to an apprenticeship?
Some people, I guess, could say this, like the social life of uni. I guess you could say that, but then also there's so much networking that's involved, and you're always brought along to different events, and you always go out for drinks with various different groups and events. So it's never it's not so like it's always sociable. So I wouldn't say you're necessarily missing out on that either. So I would say no, really.
And you, Michael?
I didn't actually go to university, but what I would say is I was doing the school last year, so I said you do need to actually find an allocated time to move out to go out. So with uni, you can sort of go out Tuesday, Wednesday at 2 a.m. Whereas as an apprentice, you can't really do that. But yeah, as Gemma said, the networking opportunities, if you really know what you want to achieve and you want to get into an industry early and get ahead of your student counterparts, then an apprenticeship is definitely the way to do it. It is, I would say for sure, more difficult than the original university route, as you're studying both uni and work. So imagine you have an assignment due at 10 and then a client call at 11. So sometimes it can be quite a bit hard to challenge, but if you know what you want to achieve and you know the industry that you're passionate about, then yeah, for sure, apprenticeship is the way forward.
Amazing. I'm going to just share my screen again and just finish off the rest of the presentation, and then we'll have some time for more questions. So we've touched on some of the benefits of working at CBRE anyway, but just to kind of reiterate those as well. So you get all of the same company benefits that you would if you were a normal employee. Also, you come on to the apprenticeship scheme on a permanent contract as well. So you're guaranteed a job after your apprenticeship. And we've had people who have stayed with us they started with us kind of however many years ago, 10, 15 years ago, whether or not it was on the graduate or apprenticeship program, and they're still with us now. So it's kind of the world is your oyster with the role as well and what you make of it. You have a dedicated learning and development team who look after you throughout the whole of your 4 years, make sure you have access to mentors and things. You have yearly salary reviews, as Michael mentioned, and also we are a very competitive paying employer as well, so we definitely make sure that you're kind of remunerated the way that you should be. And then in terms of the application process, so when you apply to CBRE, and I think the link is in the chat box at the moment to our current open role, so please do go and have a look at those. You'll initially get invited to an online testing. So there's not an application form where you have to write loads of stuff. You literally just need to apply with your CV, and then you'll be asked to do an online test. Once you've completed that online test and once our applications have closed, we'll then review those, and should you be successful, we invite you to a kind of 15-minute phone screening call, which will be with an actual real life person. Sometimes it's pre-recorded calls, but this is with an actual person. And then should you be successful from there, we invite you along to our assessment centres, where you'll do a couple of group activities with some other people, so we see how you work in a team, and then from there we'll invite you along to a final interview before making our final selection on who we're going to be bringing in. If you do have any more questions at all, we'll go to questions in a second, sorry, but if you do want to find out a bit more information, and also if you're not in a position to apply at the moment, you can also scan the QR code, and there's at the top of the document, it says register your interest. So please feel free to sign up there, but also it's worth just scanning the QR code because that gives you a bit more information about all of our different programs, or click on the link in the chat box as well. But we will go to some questions from the chat box. Taya, have you got any that you could fire out?
Yeah. So the first question is, what is one piece of advice you wished you received at the start of your apprenticeship?
Michael?
Okay, I like this question. The first thing I would say is personal brand. So whenever you're doing some sort of work experience or even speaking to someone on LinkedIn, the question you have to ask yourself is, when someone sees your face or sees your name, what sorts of words and adjectives do they associate yourself with? So like, oh, this person is very hardworking, or this person is very knowledgeable. So it's your ways is a very competitive scheme to get into. So it's just ways that you can sort of stand out from the crowd, so have that mindset. Like for me, example, I asked Hannah if I can have a mock interview before my final interviews, which obviously I couldn't do, but it's just having that mindset, the way to think outside the box. So even messaging current apprentices on LinkedIn is very important to run you through the application phases and just any advice and things like that.
Good tip. Next one, Taya.
The next question is one for you, Hannah, actually. I'm not sure if you'll have it to hand. What is the retention rate at CBRE?
It varies. Generally, it's pretty high. We've actually recently done a big piece of work on it. It's actually very good. We see a lot of, especially because we offer that permanent contract, most people stay with us for a very long time. I mean, we do kind of, like I say, we've had the person who heads up our Mids and South office, he started on the graduate scheme 25 years ago and is still here. So yeah, that kind of says a lot for itself, really.
Thank you. Next question is, what does a week in the residential apprenticeship pathway look like?
That for me or what?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, I should start a TikTok or YouTube or something. So it's very busy. So I'm actually based on a client site, so a new homes sales development. So they have 1, 2, and 3 beds ranging from like 700K to $1 million upwards. So I do viewings, do call outs, call solicitors, mortgage advisors, making sure people pay administration fees, helping people essentially like buy their home, try to fit in uni work in between that and all the busyness. But apart from that, yeah, lots of responsibility. Sometimes I'm on the site by myself, doing the daily report to the client or just doing all the viewings for the day by myself. Then on the Friday is when I have my university day.
Thank you. What A levels did some of the current apprentices do?
So there's not really a set A-level requirement. We don't ask you to have done a specific subject. All we ask is that you have 96 UCAS points in whichever way you've kind of obtained those. But we don't ask for specific subjects at all. So it's kind of, and also if you've done a BTEC or a diploma, then that's also fine.
What were your first weeks like as an apprentice, Gemma, Michael?
So first week is kind of really like just setting up and getting yourself sort of all like the laptops and getting to know the different systems, getting to know people around the business. You've got to learn everyone in your team's names, stuff like that. So it's all those like initial bits that you don't really think about, like the setting up, and then you can kind of just get started really. So whatever team you begin in, you'll then start working, helping the team out, attend meetings, and start on whatever work that they'll give you. So you do kind of have quite a quick start to whatever team you're in, which is good.
For me as well? Oh, yeah, so I found it very, very daunting. So imagine coming out of sixth form, going into a corporate office, our head office in Oxford Street. So going to a nice big office full of all these corporate people in corporate attire, I found it extremely daunting. But when you actually go there, they don't treat you as someone or like an underling. They really respect you and give responsibility from the get-go. So everyone's really friendly. You get to invited to a lot of events. My introduction to the business, someone was randomly talking about a £2 million property being under market value, and that's my introduction. Like, wow, like this is actually the sort of environment that I'm in. So it does take a bit of a while to get used to, especially if you come straight from A levels. But yeah, everyone's really friendly, so it was a good experience for me.
Thank you. Another question is, how is it managing your workload along with the educational? Oh, we've had that question already, and we did answer that. Hannah, this is a couple of more questions for you. In the UK, are you only based in London offices, or do we have offices in other locations in the UK?
Yeah, so we've got offices all across the UK, and this year we're hiring into London, Southampton, Bristol, Birmingham, Leeds, Manchester, and Glasgow.
Thank you. And then we do have a couple of questions just around the application process in regards to the testing. Would that be behavioural, or what kind of format would that?
So the testing is an online gamification behavioural test. So it's basically just based on you and your behaviours. You can't cheat the system at all. You can't do anything about it because it's just based on you as a person. So you basically just have to kind of, it seems like it's completely unrelated, but you basically have to play a game and do different tasks, and that tests different behavioural qualities in the background, and then we align those with what we're looking for in CBRE.
Thank you. That's all the current questions that we have in the inbox. So if there's anything else that anyone wants to ask or kind of hear from Gemma or Michael in regards to the apprenticeship programme or anything that we're kind of currently doing at the moment, then do feel free to drop some more questions in.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions that actually came directly into me. So the first one that I wanted to ask is, I know that Hannah, you popped on sort of the virtual experience, but I wanted to know, is there anything else that they can do to sort of help their application? Is there any experience that's sort of desired or required as well?
So in terms of work experience and things, we don't have a set work experience program, but I normally just suggest, I mean, that virtual work experience is a great way of just getting a really good understanding of what area of the business you might be interested in. And then from there, my biggest tip is just reaching out on LinkedIn. If you haven't got a LinkedIn, 100% set one up, but also take the time to set it up to, as Michael was saying, reflect your personal brand and your professional brand. Make sure you have a decent photo. Make sure you're kind of demonstrating yourself in a professional way. And then you can reach out to people in the company. You can kind of search for people at CBRE, reach out, ask to connect with them, ask if you could have a coffee with them, start to kind of build your network. I mean, the real estate industry is all about networking and building those relationships. So the quicker you get better with that, the better you're going to be equipped to then come to the assessment centres and be able to network and really get stuck in.
Fab. And then another one that we got was, there seems to be quite a few questions about this in the term ESG, and there's a little bit of confusion as to what it means and sort of what would that ESG pathway actually look like.
So that's our environmental, social and governance consultancy pathway. It's a mouthful, which is why we say ESGC, but it's basically looking at different ways to advise our clients on becoming more sustainable in terms of their kind of land, basically. So it might be trying to think of a client that we can name. So it might be like a fast food chain, for example, that has kind of big golden arches, that you might then be advising them on how they could make their property more sustainable, or how they could, it might be kind of working with a particularly big social media brand on how they can improve their kind of sustainability within their office and make it more of a, it's kind of like what's referred to as like a work well scheme. So you get different kind of ratings of your offices. So we would then kind of work with the clients to advise them on that, to improve their sustainability within their company, but also it looks at how we as a company can be doing more in terms of our social value impact and our carbon footprint and carbon emissions, because we have our own kind of corporate target to become net zero by 2030. I believe. Yeah. Is everyone in agreement with that? Yeah. Good. And actually there's a full ESG report on our website as well, which you can have a look at, and it's got loads of information of all the stuff that we're doing across the ESG space, because it's one of our biggest growing teams for us.
Fab. Yeah, that's all really, really helpful. And we've got about 5 minutes or so left. And this is probably sort of for the apprentices more than you, Hannah. And it's sort of with so many apprenticeships out there, what made you guys sort of pick real estate and what made you guys pick CBRE? So Gemma, if you don't mind me pinging that one at you first.
Yeah, that's fine. So in terms of picking real estate, I've always enjoyed kind of just buildings and properties in general. So I was always looking to do something like that from probably like 16 onwards. I had that in my mind, and that's why I initially went down the urban design route, thinking maybe I wanted to do more like the design side of it, and then realized that wasn't really the route I wanted. But I've always kind of had that in the back of my mind. So I guess real estate was always kind of there. And then in terms of CBRE, I knew they were a big company. Heard them through my dad, who works at GSK, and he'd mentioned their name before. And so I knew that they like existed as a real estate company. So I looked up CBRE apprenticeships and had a look, and obviously that came up. So that's kind of where it all started. That's why I chose that.
Fab. Michael, do you wanna go for that one next?
Yeah, so I picked real estate because at the end of the day, I always, in my career, no matter what I do, I always wanted to invest into properties and sort of have my own business and rent things out. So even like I mentioned this on the call last year in my final interviews, they said, what do you want to do in the next 10 years? And I said, I actually want to be self-employed on my own business, my own real estate portfolio. So I thought that was a make or break, but it actually ended up working out for me. The reason I picked CBRE is because I saw that they push the most towards diversity and inclusion. So real estate, they're a bit lagged behind in terms of the demographic of the way the workplace is. So the CEO himself, he came in as a 16-year-old, like from an area that wasn't with the particular demographic in Mayfair area. So he felt uncomfortable and he didn't feel comfortable in the workplace. So it was very important to him to push the apprenticeship scheme. So after knowing about that story and all of the initiatives they're doing to push diversity and inclusion, that's the thing I resonated with. So that's why I picked them. Also, they're commercial, global renowned. So why else? You know?
Why not? Yeah, exactly. And then Teo, your pathway is a little bit different because you sort of thought you wanted to do that accounting and then kind of changed the HR pathway. What made you do that change?
So I originally went to accounting, and I did A-level maths, and I was just really not good at it at all. But alongside being at sixth form, I did an internship with a private debt company, and I had the opportunity to speak to everyone from different departments, and some from HR came to speak to me about like their role, different aspects of HR, and like what their function is in the business. It just really resonated with myself and like just me as a person and just kind of the skills that you kind of need to get into the role. And I was just really interested in it, and I started doing more research into it. And I was just like, okay, what is kind of the best route to kind of get into HR? Given that I really did not want to go uni. I told my parents a long time ago that I have no desire to go to uni. I just wasn't going to enjoy it, so I just thought it was best that I didn't. So I started looking at apprenticeships in HR. I know there are very, very few apprenticeships in HR, but I did come across CBRE's apprenticeship scheme. And similar to Michael, I've always had an interest in real estate. It's quite a big thing in my family. We have a lot of tradesmen in our family, and people have quite a lot of investments into property. So I kind of felt like I just wanted to continue that from a young age as well. So it just kind of went hand in hand that CBRE happened to have the apprenticeship, and then also just do my own research into the company a bit more. Like Michael said, the D9 aspect is just amazing, and just overall seeing like CBRE's goals and actually being able to see that their goals are actually in place and what they're doing and taking the steps to achieve the goals. It's not just a brand and just saying it for the sake of saying it to, you know, as a tick box. And it's actually, we can see that they are working to achieve this stuff, and they are kind of showing the business and everyone outside the business that this is what they mean it when they say it. So I think that was just kind of the thing that made me say, yeah, definitely CBRE, because it's not just a tick box.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, those answers are really, really great. And Hannah's kindly been answering quite a few questions in the chat as well as we've been going along. But a massive thank you to firstly the amazing team at CBRE. If this has not inspired you to apply, I don't know what will. But all of the questions that you guys have populated in the chat, we will send to the team as well. And should they have some time, they'll provide some further answers. As a little reminder, this will be uploaded to YouTube tomorrow, so if there were any barcodes or anything that you wanted to scan again, you are more than welcome to. But a massive thank you for all of you guys for taking the time out of your evening, and thank you once again to the team at CBRE, and we all hope that you have a lovely evening. Thank you guys.
Thanks everyone. See you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.